Good morning, everyone. My name is Adriana Roth. I'm the founder and owner of AW Advanced Aesthetics Training, and I'm very happy to be here in this webinar. We do a monthly webinar to get in touch with you guys and help you and answer any questions that you may have. Our webinar for today is Scaling Your Business and Mindset. And I'm very excited to be here with Juan. This is a nice treat. Juan is not only the best business coach that I've worked with, and the only one. He's been with me for 15 years since I started the business. I contact him, so time goes by really, really fast. He has 25 years of experience in the industry. And again, I've been working with him for a very long time, and he's great. So, Juan, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. Well, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity of being part of the webinar and having the invitation to be here with you guys. I can't believe it's been 15 years. I was smiling ear to ear when you said that. But yeah, no, really excited to be here today. And I'm excited to be sharing with your audience what I think is a very important topic right now. Growing your business has always been a somewhat of a challenging and tricky thing, but we find ourselves in a very unique economy at the time. And so my presentation today is going to be doing both. How do you grow your business, but also how do you grow your business in a challenging and uncertain economy?
Thank you, Juan. And before I hand it over to you, I just want you to know that if you have any questions, you feel free to put them right on the chat on YouTube because we're live. We're not going to be able to answer right away, but we will definitely get back with you after the webinar. So feel free. And then Juan, tell me to get started, and the stage is yours. What are you going to share with us today and why?
Yeah, so today's going to be a combination of really my two businesses that I have. On one of my business and what I've been doing for 13 years is coaching business owners of all industries. And so I'm going to share some time-tested, proven methodologies and strategies to grow your business from that end. And then my other business is a digital marketing agency who's now doing artificial intelligence. And so I'm going to be talking about some of the latest technology and some of the things that we see now emerging. And I think the combination of the two, I mean, we need to kind of stick to what we know works, but at the same token, we need to focus on what's new and make sure that we stay relevant and that we leverage technology.
Absolutely. Great. I'm so excited. So that's it. Let's get started, Juan. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see that okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, terrific. All right, so like I said, today's topic is going to be about business growth in 2025 and really the balance between doing the time-tested, proven strategies, but also really kind of staying on top of the latest technology to make sure that you can leverage that and you don't fall behind. So that's what today's going to be all about. I won't spend too much time because you already did a good job introducing me, but I'll just say a couple things just so people know what I'm about and what I've been up to in my life so far. So the first 20 years of my life, I spent it in corporate career. I was running luxury hotels, mainly out of Florida, but I got to work all over the US and in the Caribbean and learned a lot working for some of the best hotel companies in the world. And in 2012, I decided to jump out of corporate and really venture out in myself and start my own coaching consulting practice. And so that's when I partnered up with Action Coach. Now, because that's nearly 13 years ago, I'm happy to say that I have over 10,000 hours of coaching experience at this point. And I don't know if you know, some people know that like once you do anything for 10,000 hours, you're considered in the top 1% of your field. So if you've done anything for 10,000 hours, you're considered an expert in your field. So I actually crossed that number a couple of years back. I did publish a book a few years back. Happy to say I'm also ranked in the top 20 coaches globally. And just really proud of being able to diversify as well. 7 years ago, I co-founded a digital marketing agency, and we actually rebranded late last year to now we went from Smarty Pants Marketing. It's now called Authority AI and really focusing on artificial intelligence solutions, also providing digital marketing support for our customers. So learned a lot over the past several years that I've been in business. Now, in terms of Action Coach itself, it is a brand of its own. It's been around for over 30 years, headquartered out of Las Vegas, Nevada, We operate in 82 countries, and essentially what we do all over the world and in like 15 different languages is we help business owners grow regardless of where they are, what stage they're in. We help them grow their business and ultimately create a business that works without them. That's the goal, is really truly be an entrepreneur where you have multiple businesses working for you, and essentially none of those businesses require you. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, to have time and to have money. That is the purpose of what we do on the Action Coach side. Now, in terms of today, I'm going to treat today like I do with any coaching session. In any coaching session, I always tell my clients that you can say anything that you want, but the only two words that are not allowed in any coaching session are the I know words. Because what happens is when we get the I know all of a sudden in our head, what can happen is all of a sudden we zone out, we tune out, we look at our phone, we check email, and all of a sudden, like maybe at that moment, we lost whatever gold nugget of information was coming your way, right? So I challenge everyone who's watching to keep an open mind and to stay tuned in, because there might be that one thing that I say that all of a sudden is going to just give you that $1 million idea. Okay, so get the I know completely out of your head. And if you have to say something, you can say something like, isn't that interesting instead? Okay, now because, and Adriana, you know this because we've been working together a long time, and most of my presentation, I mean, in some cases I do day-long workshops, multiple hours. So this is technically a very short presentation for me. So I'm going to go fast and furious because I want to deliver as much value to your audience as possible. So if you're watching, you haven't grabbed a pen and pad, please do so. You're going to want to take down some notes, any kind of real big new ideas that come your way. So I do tend to cover a lot of information and provide a lot of value. This is going to be no different than that. So if everyone is ready, let's go ahead and jump into some of the material.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to mention something before you continue, that
Sure,
we are
of course.
located in Florida because we have an audience throughout the United States. So he does have these
Mm,
meetings, which are great because there are different topics about business. You get to connect with other business owners, so you're not alone. Sometimes we're going to struggles or we just have ideas, so it's great. So it's down here in Florida, usually Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton area. Just wanted to address
yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, great. Excellent point. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this particular topic, and something that's been on everyone's mind, really stemming from late last year, early this year. There's been a lot of changes. There was change in government, change in the White House, change in policies. I mean, right now we're really in the middle of a lot of changes globally, nationally. There is a lot of optimism, but there's also a lot of really concerning thoughts about what could happen. Now, I'm not here to try and predict what will or will not happen. My job really as a business coach is to help you be prepared so that whatever happens, you can have a business that is resilient enough that it'll not only survive, but really thrive through any situation. And I've seen this many times in my life. I definitely saw it in 2001. I saw it in 2008, and most recently with the pandemic. My clients actually did really well during the pandemic, and I think it was part of the work that we had done before, and certainly the work that we did. So that's what today's all about: is really creating an amazing business in 2025. So what I want to talk about really are the 6 principles to thrive in any economy. Okay. And a lot of this was some of the things that we learned during the pandemic, and we had learned in other troubling times like 2008, 2009. So the goal really is business sustainability. We want to make sure that your business thrives and sustains regardless of what is happening, outside your door. So the first principle that I want to share with you, and perhaps the most important one of all, is our own mindset. Okay. And I did see this a lot back during when the pandemic started. I mean, certainly it was a challenging, troubling time, and there was a lot of reasons to be concerned. But one of the things that I noticed is that the entrepreneurs that had the optimistic mind, the ones that said, we're going to make it through this, we're going to learn, it's going to be tough, it's going to suck, but we're going to get through this. The ones that were most optimistic, the ones that had that resilient mindset were the ones that succeeded at the end of the day. The ones that spent their time worrying, complaining, and focused on what could go wrong, those entrepreneurs struggled the most. So I have to say, in every presentation that I do, just mention the importance of having that really positive and resilient entrepreneur mindset, because what you think ultimately is happening will come to reality, right? Where we tend to attract that what we believe and what we seek and what we think, and where we manifest all of these things, right? So it's really important that the first thing that we do before we get into any like actual business strategies is just to hold a mirror up and say, do I walk around thinking the sky is falling, and am I always looking for problems and focused on what can go wrong instead of focused on what can go right? You may need to do some work on the mindset. Okay, so principle number one, have that really amazing entrepreneur mindset. Number two, let's get into some practical stuff. So cash is king. And what we mean by that is you want to make sure that you have either access to cash or cash at all times in your business. Because that old saying is like, a bank is an institution that gives you money when you don't need it, right? Because when you need money and you go try to get a loan, they're not going to give it to you. So the best time to get those lines of credit and working capital is when you're doing good, when you don't need it, right? So the mindset most of them is like, well, I'm doing good. I got plenty of cash. Why would I need lines of credit or anything like that? It's like, well, because you never know what can happen in the future. And once it happens and all of a sudden you find yourself strapped for cash, it's going to be much harder to get those types of loans. Okay. So just make sure that you have a plan in place to have some cash reserves, lines of credit, whatever it might be, because at the end of the day, cash is always going to be the lifeline, the oxygen to any business. Okay, so that's principle number two. Principle number three is what we call intense independence. Now, this is a pretty significant thing. We saw this quite a bit in 2019 and 2020, 21, where if you had a business that depended on selling a specific product, or you had a one big client or two big clients, or maybe you had one really important employee. So essentially, having dependence on anything creates risk in a business. So if you buy something and resell it, and that company all of a sudden goes out of business, your business goes out of business too, because your whole business depended on that company existing. So we don't want to have dependence on any vendor. We don't want to have dependence on any big clients. So for example, if you have two or three big clients, the problem with that is if one of those clients goes away, that's 33% of your business, right? So it's better to kind of spread the risk a little bit, right? So if one client leaves out of 1,000, it's not that big of an impact if you only have two or three big clients, right? So you also don't want to have dependence on employees, because I see this a lot. I'll go into a business and they're kind of introducing me to the different employees, and then I go, oh, who's that? And they're like, oh, that's Betty. Betty's been here for 150 years. She knows everything. Nobody knows what she does. And oh my God, our business would die if something happened to Betty. And I'm looking at Betty. Betty looks like she is 150 years old. And I'm thinking like this business would be in serious trouble if something happened to Betty. So we really don't want to have any dependence on anything, right? Like a business is going to thrive when it's got a lot of legs. Imagine like a table, right? The more legs it has supporting it, the safer it's going to be, the more resilient it's going to be. Okay, let's look at the next principle. So the next principle is solid strategies. Okay, and what I mean by that, one of the things that I saw a lot of businesses doing in 2008, 9, and then again in 2020, when times were tough, is they went to the go-to strategy that most businesses do, and it's absolutely the worst thing you can do is lower your prices. Okay. When you lower your prices, especially if you're not really understanding the difference between margins and markup, what happens is you're cutting into your direct profit margins, and you think the mindset is, well, if I lower my prices, I'll get more clients. And Adriana knows this because I've shown her the tool. We actually have a tool that shows you mathematically how many more clients you'd have to get to make the same amount of money as if you hadn't decreased your pricing. So what you want to make sure that you do is do the opposite, right? I'm not saying necessarily increase your pricing, but what you want to do is really tap into your database and make sure that you go to past customers, anybody who's done business with you in the past, okay? Anybody who's currently working with you, maybe unconverted leads, strategic alliances. So really do your research don't make the mistake that most amateur business owners make, which is something goes wrong, then they lower the price thinking that's going to save them. And that's actually going to be the worst thing, because now you got less customers and you actually have less profit because you reduced your pricing. Okay. So really look into and make sure that the strategies that you're deploying are actually good ones. The next is adapt and evolve. And this we saw in a brilliant way post and during pandemic, where restaurants needed to survive. And so all of a sudden we saw restaurants all of a sudden who never did takeout, who never did delivery. All of a sudden they were doing takeout, they were doing delivery. We saw them, using QR codes for menus. We saw a lot of businesses get really creative to survive. And those that adapted and evolved ultimately did survive. The ones that stuck their head in the sand and said, oh, this will pass. I don't want to make changes. The ones that really stuck into their old ways, those businesses went away. They disappeared because we needed to adapt and evolve. Okay. So one of the things that I want you guys thinking about is like, how do you run your business? How long have you been running it that way? And is that the best, the smartest, the most efficient way of running your business, right? Because the worst thing that you can do is say, well, we do this way because we've always done it that way. And I'll tell you right now, even coming from a technology and from an AI perspective, if you're still doing the business, you're running your business the way that you were 3 years ago, it's probably outdated, because now with AI, it's changing everything. Okay, we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but just make sure that you're adapting and evolving, because if not, just like the dinosaurs, right, will end up extinct. And then the big one here, the big last one, is know your numbers. And this is something that I help with my clients out with a lot, right? Like really understanding your key performance indicators. What are the most important KPIs? What are the most important numbers in your business? Do you understand your margins? Do you have a cash flow analysis? Do you have a 12-month budget? Do you forecast? Do you have a cash flow analysis? I mean, all of these different things, right? Are you looking at your profit and loss every month? Are you looking at a balance sheet every month, right? It's I would probably say the unsexy side of running a business, but it's definitely one of the most important. And regardless of what economy we're experiencing, this is always important. But during troubling and challenging times, it becomes even more important to do all of these things. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs. We don't know what tariffs are going to go into place. We don't know when. We don't know what's going to happen. We do know that the impact could be severe and significant. So what I'm working with my clients on right now is making sure that we have a contingency plan, so that if the worst happens, right? So all of a sudden these tariffs go into place, we have plan A, we have plan B, we're ready to go depending on what happens, right? That's being prepared. And if nothing happens, great. But if it does, we're going to be the first ones to rise up because we had a plan going into it. Okay. So all of this is important, but right now it's absolutely magnified 10 times over, simply because of the uncertainty of all the change that's happening on a daily basis, right? It goes up, it goes down. We're doing tariffs, we're not doing tariffs. So we as business owners can't change. We don't have influence, but we can be prepared, and we can have a plan. And that's what I'm talking about here. So here's a little quote for you. I found this quite interesting. It says, sometimes you have to destroy your business in order to save it. And I think that that's kind of what we're talking about here, is you have to be willing to really challenge what you're doing, to analyze it, to break it apart, to destroy it. In other words, no sacred cows. Nothing can be saying, well, we've always done it this way, so we have to keep doing it this way, right? That is dangerous way of thinking. So Adriana, before we go on to the next section here, any questions from you or from anyone at this point? Let me know.
Not yet. We're actually monitored, and it's good.
Okay, great. All right, so let me continue with the next topic here. So I promised you guys a little technology update. So I did mention to you guys that we rebranded our digital marketing agency mid-year last year. So we're still doing marketing. We're still helping businesses out with all things marketing, but now we're doing everything is AI powered that we do. So you can see the name of my company here, Authority AI. And this has been really amazing. I mean, I've spent now the last, I don't know, 16 months or so learning everything I can. I learn on a daily basis about AI, and it just amazes me every single day, every week. There's something new, some new version of it. But what I want to talk to you guys about is really, as I'm going around the community and I talk to people and I ask them, hey, are you leveraging AI? Are you using, most people go, yeah, I use ChatGPT. And I'm like, okay, that's good, that's a start, but that's not really the full capability. That's like the tiny, tip of the iceberg. I mean, that's like step one. And you using ChatGPT to help you write letters and emails and maybe, social media posts and things, that's good. But realize that's not the extent of what AI can do, all right? So I don't want you to think that you are like you've mastered AI if all you're doing is really ChatGPT with it, right? Like, and I want you to think of it like this. Let's say you have to create an email blast that you're going to send out to your customers, and you go to ChatGPT to help you write that email. And it's going to help you write the email and maybe the subject line and everything. But at the end of the day, you're still doing the work, right? All you did was you got some help from ChatGPT, but you're still the one like having to go back into your CRM, posting. I want you guys to know that what I'm working on with my AI agency is we're working on AI so that you never have to do the work yourself. Like the machine will do it for you. Okay. So ChatGPT is cool, but you're still having to do the work. It's just helping you do it. What I'm working on is creating machine systems, agents, and bots so that it'll do the work for you without you having to lift a finger, right? What we're building is what we call AI employees that essentially we install in your company and we build it once, train it once, and it works for you forever. So whether it's marketing, whether it's admin stuff, whether like just think of like stuff that you have to do in your business and hate doing, we could probably build a bot to do those things for you. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's kind of the space that we're working in right now. So when you think about like what can AI handle, okay, and this is not science fiction stuff of next year. These are the things that we're already doing, right? So things that AI can handle in your business right now. Customer service, okay, we can definitely handle customer service. Whether it's answering questions on your website, whether it's answering your phone, booking your appointments, dealing with customer complaints, whatever it is, it can definitely do that. Marketing, it can help marketing and it can automate your marketing so that you push one button and a series of things begin to happen because you push that button, right? So you meet a new prospect and you're not really good at following up 10 times with that prospect until they buy from you. We can automate all that. So you just follow up once, and if that person doesn't buy, we put them in a sequence, we automate everything, and all of a sudden that prospect is being nurtured by your systems or by AI, right? You don't have to be great at following up because we've built a system that'll follow up for you. Sales right now, actually this week, we have a client in Sarasota. We built a outbound voice agent. So basically she had a list of 3,000 past customers and she says, hey, I have this promotion going on. Can you build me an agent that will call them, sound and speak like a human, let them know of the promotion, and if they're interested, have the agent, the phone agent, transfer them to the human being? And I said, yeah. So we're actually running that promotion right now. So if you have a big list of like 3,000 people and you know that you're supposed to be calling them to try to get business and you're overwhelmed and you don't do it, we could build an agent for that, right? So that's the sort of stuff that we're doing on sales, operations, anything behind the scenes. Like we've built estimators for plumbers, basically anything behind the scenes that you hate doing in your business. We can automate these kinds of things. That's kind of cool. Finance, yeah, working on some stuff around that. That's kind of a favorite that people love to delegate. Human resources. So a cool thing that we built, I think last month. So we have a company that was doing a lot of hiring, and they said, we waste so much time on that first round of interviews. Like people show up, and even though we looked at their resume, like when they show up, they're totally the wrong person. We spend hours and hours interviewing people. So we actually built an AI agent, an AI bot that interviews people. So we created a dedicated phone number, and when the person sent in their resume, they would get sent a message saying, "Thank you for sending your resume. Please dial this phone number to conduct your first interview." When they dial that number, they would say, "Hi, this is Jenny from so and so company, human resources department. Are you calling for your first interview?" The person would say yes. The robot would say, "What, may I have your name?" Just like a human, and actually conduct about a 15 to 20 minute interview. And then when the interview was over, the AI agent sends basically a one-page summary of how that person did based on the questions that it asked. And then that company saving hundreds of hours not having to basically talk to people that were not suited for the job. So love that. Thought that was really cool. Admin stuff, super easy for us to do. And then of course, analytics. So the answer to the question is, where can AI or how can AI help you in your business? Just about everywhere, right? The only thing we can't build yet is an actual robot to send to your office and do filing and take out the trash. I don't do robotics, right? But anything other than that, we can pretty much design anything for that. And why I love that, again, kind of going back to my business coaching background, is because the idea is that if you're still working hard as a business owner in 2025, then you're missing the point of living in the future, right? Now's the time where we really need to begin to think about working smart and using everything that we have within our fingertips, because once you start looking into what's out there, you'll be amazed as to, and you'll say to yourself, why didn't I do this sooner? I can't believe I'm doing all this stuff myself, right? So that's really what it's all about. So one of the things that we ultimately want to avoid is that burnout, right? Because we see that happening a lot. Like people just burn out of running their own business because it's difficult, it's challenging. Especially the first couple of years, right? We've all heard the statistics of the first 5 years are the most difficult in a business. And here's another statistic, is that only 4% of businesses ever make it to $1 million a year. Okay, $1 million a year is 83,333 a month, and only 4% of businesses ever hit that amount. Okay, so I just last year I helped a female business owner cross that, and I said to her, I said, not only are you in the 4%, but you're probably in the 1%, because of those 4%, how many of those do you think are women? So just the fact that I helped a business owner get to $1 million a year, and she's a female, and I think she was a minority as well. I'm like, she was like in the less than 1%. I mean, she's at the top of the world. So that's definitely what we want to aim for. So here's a funny little picture. I think of myself as this guy trying to help, people out by giving them the wheel, right? Like this is how I felt for like the past 13 years when I talk to people about like coaching, and I'm like, hey, I can show you the shortcuts. I can help you. You don't have to do this alone. I feel like I'm talking to these guys sometimes, like, no thanks, we're too busy, right? And like now with AI, I feel like this guy again, because I'm like, hey, I can build you a machine to do that. And they're like, no, we'll talk to you later, we're busy. And it's like, okay, keep using your square wheels, right? I mean, I'm going to start looking like this guy, just from everything that's happening, right? So ultimately, my job, whether it's through coaching or whether it's helping you leverage technology in your business, the whole goal of everything that I do is getting you more time and money. And, we all go through these quadrants, the 4 different success quadrants. And if you think about it, when you first start off in business, we typically have a lot of time because we're not that busy. We don't have that many customers. We have a lot of time, right? But we have no money because we're just starting out, not too many customers, not too much money coming in. And then we move to quadrant 2. The bad news about quadrant 2, it's actually worse than quadrant 1, because quadrant 2, we're busy, we're running around like a chicken without a head, doing a bunch of things, but it's not really working yet, right? Everything hasn't kind of kicked in. So quadrant 2 is worse than quadrant 1. Okay, the goal is to get out of that as quickly as possible. So quadrant 3 looks a little bit better. Okay, and those businesses that get through the 5 years, the 7 years, most of them find themselves in this place here, which is like, okay, I'm making enough money where I can pay myself, pay a living, take a vacation every now and then, save some money for retirement, which is good, right? For most people, this is the goal. But I got to tell you that there's a better place than that. And yeah, I think you know where I'm going with it, which is like your business should pay you with time and money, not just money. Okay. Your business, and as an entrepreneur, you get paid in 2 currencies, time and money. And that is the goal. And essentially what we need to do, and when we wake up every single day and we figure out the next riddle, the next puzzle in our business, every day we got to wake up and go, what do I need to do to continue moving through these quadrants to get to that ultimate final quadrant that we're looking for? Okay. Now, in order to do that, a lot of people say, well, how do you do that? How do you move from one quadrant to another? And a lot of it has to do with your own education and how prepared are you, the skills that you must know as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Now, look, I coach doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers, restaurateurs, obviously aesthetic company, you name it, I've coached them. And they're all great at what they do. The part that they needed to learn was the business side of things. Okay. And there's a way to go about learning that. We have a lot of different methodologies and frameworks that we use to teach people about these things. But ultimately, it's about that. It's about how good of a business owner, operator can you become. Now, when you think about like the different stages in our life, like we all start off as students, right? Where in some cases we have to pay to learn, right? Whether it's a university or high school, whatever, private school, whatever it is, like we're a debt to society. Like we have to pay in order to learn. Like we know nothing. That's -1, right? Then you go and get a job. Okay, so that's good, right? That's the next step. And listen, there's nothing wrong with an employee. You can be a very successful, very happy employee, but those people that choose to be business owners realize that they want more, right? So that next step is like, well, I want to become self-employed. Okay. Well, if you think about it, just in these first 3 steps, you have to learn some lessons and some skills in each of those steps, right? To go from student to employee, you had to learn some stuff, right? To go from employee to self-employed, you had to learn some stuff. And then the same thing. Okay. So now you find yourself, you have your own business. Okay, great. You're doing everything yourself. You might have to learn how to leverage people and technology to get into the next step, which is really being a manager. As a manager, now you're just managing the people that are doing the work, right? And now you got to learn how to hire people, recruit people, lead people, set goals, hold people accountable, KPIs, right? There's a whole kind of different list of things that you have to learn. Now, a lot of people kind of get stuck here. The next step up would be owner. Owner is where you've actually hired a general manager, and the general manager is running the business. You don't show up every day. You show up whenever you want to, right? You're there, you're not there, right? And you might have more than one business, right? Because you got people running those businesses. Like I know my other company is operating right now because I have people running that business. I don't have to be there for things to happen, right? So there's a set of skills that we must learn in order to move from manager to owner. Then the same thing, right? You're at the owner stage. Then what? Now you have cash flow coming in. You got to learn about investing. What are you going to do with all that cash, right? So whether it's investing in other businesses or real estate or the stock market or Bitcoin, whatever it might be, right? We have to learn about that more. We learn about that. Then we finally achieve the status of entrepreneur. See, entrepreneur, a lot of people use that word very freely. Like a lot of times, like when I ask somebody, hey, what do you do? And they go, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I often wonder, are they rich or are they actually unemployed? You know, like it can mean anything, right? Sometimes people tell you like everybody's an entrepreneur. The guy sitting on the street is an entrepreneur. Everybody's an entrepreneur, right? But if you look at the definition of an entrepreneur, it says there's 2 definitions. Somebody who starts a business with the intention of selling it. And the second definition is a person that derives their income from multiple streams. Okay, so you must be in one of the 2 or both in order to truly call yourself an entrepreneur. And that's the journey that I believe that we're on, and I'm on with my clients as well, right? So how you move through those quadrants is making sure that you're learning the lessons along the way. And if you find yourself, if you're looking at this and you go, man, I've been self-employed for too many years, or I'm stuck at manager, I'm stuck at, it just means you just haven't learned the things you need to learn to move to that next stage, right? It's really just about learning, okay? So the goal really is to create that commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. That's the ultimate goal, right? Now, I don't have the time today to go into some of these frameworks, but I did want to show you a couple of the frameworks. One of the frameworks that we have at Action Coach is what we call the 6 steps to a winning business. And this is one of the frameworks that we use to basically take our clients through all the different learning that needs to take place so that you can move through the different quadrants, right? And I love, Adriana, I don't know if you've noticed, but like the 6th step on here, we're now calling it freedom, right? So we've changed these names just in the last 12 months. So we now call that 6th step freedom, because that's essentially the final step where you don't need to work. You just have so many businesses operating and working for you that you truly have achieved the time and money, which is freedom, essentially. Okay, so how we do that and how you can do that is really in simple terms. You have to work on the business. Yes, we all know that, but you have to work on yourself, right? Most people will put in 40, 50 hours into their business. I ask people, how many hours did you put into yourself? And they go, what do you mean? Like, how many hours did you spend this week reading a book, watching a seminar, working with a coach, doing something that is going to make you better? What most people don't realize is the business won't get better unless you get better. The business will only grow as much as the person is willing to grow. And here's something that might punch you in the chin a little bit. The results you seek is perhaps in the work that you avoid. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The results you seek is in the work you avoid. So if you avoid numbers, that's where your solution is. If you avoid doing marketing, that's where the solution to your problem is, right? So think about what you're avoiding, and the solution to everything that you're looking for might be there. So work as hard on yourself as you do in your business, which most people don't do. Okay. So to wrap up, I don't know where we're going to be 12 months from now. I don't know what the economy is going to be doing. I don't know what real estate is going to be doing 12 months from now. We're going to get there. We will get there. I don't know where it is, but what I can tell you though is the biggest question we need to ask ourselves is, do I want to be exactly where I am right now 12 months from now? Okay. If you're happy and content with where you are and you wouldn't mind being here 12 months from now, then you and I probably have no reason to speak whatsoever. But if you're one of these people that imagine a better life, you can do more, you can do better, you feel it in your bones, it hasn't clicked just yet, then we need to talk, because I'm going to be the person that's going to help you. Maybe it's a question I ask, maybe it's a strategy I share, something will trigger what you've always known to be true, and that is that there is something out there better for you. And that's my role as a business coach. So ultimately, the end of the day, the name of our company is Action Coach because we believe in taking action, right? So hopefully you took down a lot of notes and take action. Pick 2 or 3 things that really jumped out at you and take action today, because action is the enemy of procrastination and really being kind of stagnating in your life and in your business. Do a little something today to essentially declare to yourself and to the world that 12 months from now, you're going to be in a much different place. So with that being said, Adriana, and for those of you watching, thank you so much for the opportunity. I am going to put a QR code here on the screen. So if you are one of those people that want to be in a significantly different place 12 months from now, please use your phone and book a call. This should take you right into my calendar so that you can book some time. Obviously, no cost, no obligation. Let's talk. Let's see if we're a good fit for one another, and perhaps I can help you get to that next level.
Wow, Juan, great presentation. Thank you so much. I did take a lot of notes. I still learn, you never stop learning. So this has been great. And one of the reasons I decided to bring this webinar regarding business is because I see a lot of my customers, business owners that are very stressed and they're doing everything themselves, to know that there are resources, that there are people that can help, that you can do things a little bit different so you don't work so much in the business, but more on your business. So that was one of the reasons. And Juan, I have actually 2 questions for you. The word marketing, you're talking about marketing, is a very scary one for people. And for my customers, we offer a lot of support. So AW Advanced Aesthetic Training, we always offer support on marketing. If you don't know that, you can contact our office or email us, and we can support you and answer any questions that you may have. So it's a monster, right? It's a scary word. So tell me some of the challenges that you see most business owners have when it comes to marketing.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. And I think when we think of anything that it typically is scary, whether it's finances, marketing, when you think of like maybe even like doing an estate plan for yourself, anything that's tied to like legal stuff, the reason it's scary, it's perhaps because you haven't learned enough about it. You haven't looked into it. So that's the first thing that I want to say is that I hate to say it, but it's really a lack of education in something, because the moment you start actually learning about it, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, right? And we can all relate to something where we thought it was like immensely difficult. And then after we do it, we go, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So I think that the first step is to learn enough to be dangerous, okay? Right now, I mean, I think the best university out there is YouTube University. I mean, you can learn anything and so much through YouTube. I spend more time on YouTube than on any other platform. And I believe that that's the first thing that everybody should do is grab a book, get an audio book, go into YouTube, whatever, learn about it, and then surround yourself with people who are naturally good at that skill. You don't have to be a master at everything. You just have to be good enough to hire people to handle those things for you, right? I don't, we have, we have bookkeepers, we have CPAs. Shit, I don't even clean my own, pool because why? Because there's somebody out there that can do it faster and better than me, and I'd rather be doing other things, right? So I think it boils down to just really building a solid team around you and knowing enough so that you can hire these people and manage these people.
Yeah, and I totally, that was my next question actually, was about fear, right? Where is the fear coming from? And is it lack of learning? And I used to say, marketing is for us, when I didn't know anything, it was like a car mechanic. I'll give them the car and hope for the best because I have no idea what they're doing. It was only when working with Juan, he encouraged me to learn and get more involved in marketing and really understand it because you're not going to know what to ask for if you don't understand it. And you're not going to be able to see results unless you understand exactly what they're doing or strategy. So that's a very important part. And if you're a solo esthetician, which I see a lot of solo estheticians, you can actually hire companies like Juan's company, marketing companies that can help you and assist you. Like Juan said, just go on YouTube because you get so busy in the treatment room and we forget about everything else. So Juan was mentioning about customers and I was taking notes. We focus so much on getting new customers, but not about retaining our customers because we're depending on anybody that comes new, but these people come and go, they're very transitional, and then we lose a customer. They're only your customer if they come to you 3 times and got treatments, by the way. And it's important that we keep all this in mind with retaining customers versus acquiring new customers, which is what was more people do, correct, Juan?
Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah, it boils down to, one of the things I always say is like the bigger the dream, the more important the team. So it's kind of like if you have a small vision, like if all you want to do is just be able to pay your bills every month, that's not a very big dream. So you don't probably need a whole lot of people and you probably don't need a whole lot of marketing to do that, right? So small dreams require small investments, right? Now, if you're again of the different mindset of like, no, I have big dreams and I want to do a lot more and I want to scale this business up, then you're going to need to invest more in everything, right? Invest more in yourself, invest more into your learning, invest more in marketing, all of these things, right? Stop looking at things like, oh, that's an expense, that's an expense. There's a difference between an expense and an investment, okay? And a lot of
Absolutely.
people are so trying to save a buck
Mm-hmm.
that they're missing the $100 bill kind of thing, right? So really, it's kind of getting in tune with what is it that you want to achieve, and then make sure you're investing accordingly to that.
Right, and then you get reports, right, of your ROI, right? If you're investing $500 in marketing, that you're getting a return on investment. So that's very important. Well, it's been great one having you here today. I hope please take action. Anything you learn, I can tell you the biggest thing that I've learned with Juan and changed my life was whatever you resist the most is what you need to work the most, and that is a fact. If it's marketing, if it's business, that will totally change your life. So keep that in mind. And thank you so much again, Juan, for being here. And thank you for being part of this webinar. If you enjoyed the webinar, please
My
click
pleasure.
below and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We'd love to see you again. We'll have a monthly webinar. So the next one will be around the same time next month. And thank you again. I really enjoyed the presentation, Juan. I appreciate it.